Did it switch us to? Said that it switched the
What?
I was trying to see if it had changed the quality of the video because it said that it had changed to 720.
Really?
Yeah. Let me just double check. Camera.
I think it did.
Recording. High quality.
I think it did.
Yeah.
Hi, guys. I think there's like 3 people watching. It wouldn't even announce it.
That's fine. Hi, guys.
Oh.
Join us in the chat.
We decided to do a random, another Tuesday episode to talk a little bit about the Georgia indictment for
A little
Trump.
nightcap to
And
the Tuesday.
very interesting stuff coming out of Georgia, which pretty much is once again criminalizing free speech. There is a hold on, Bella. Did you fix the camera?
Yeah, I think that this is how it's gonna be right now.
Okay, that's
So
fine.
it doesn't really give me the option to do anything under to it, but I think it should be fine.
Well,
yeah, I think it should be fine.
Okay. What's up? What's up? What's up? Let me pull up this indictment or some of the stuff that it's being said online. I think the first thing that we want to discuss, I don't know if you know this, Bella, but they had originally leaked the indictment, and then they took it back, and then everything that was leaked.
Then they leaked the juror list.
They did.
Then they leaked the juror list.
Then they leaked the juror list, and here is, I want to read to you guys some of the charges, because some of the charges are completely ridiculous, including criminalizing free speech. You think that President Osai will be willing to come? Hi, Eve. It's always good to see you here. Okay, so let me read you guys some of these.
We'll read the indictment, but yeah, we think that we were actually invited to go to El Salvador and meet with some people out there, so we might have some things coming. Maybe
we might have some things. We actually have a few things coming. We have, next week I'm gonna be on a really cool show. I'll let you guys know, and then the week after that, we're both gonna be somewhere else. Really cool stuff. So we'll be keeping you guys up to date with everything that we do. In September, we also have a gala. But I just pulled up some of the indictments right now, which is one violation of the RICO charges. So it's actually funny because a lot of these Black urban pages, like rap,
Hollywood Unlocked, and
all of them are talking about how Young Thug is also facing RICO charges in Georgia by the same district attorney, just like Trump. So there's that, there's a lot of like jokes going around about Trump being the first president and actually being, basically the Black community is, I'd say, a little bit more sympathetic towards Trump now that he's facing the same type of charges that some of this rapper is also facing in Georgia. So I thought that was funny. There's also solicitation. By the way, I can't hear myself. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. There's also solicitation of violation of oath by a public officer, conspiracy to commit impersonating a public officer, conspiracy to commit forgery in first degree. I can't see the rest of this stuff. Falsifying documents, forgery, false statements, filing false documents, solicitation of violation under oath by public officer. That pertains to that phone call that Trump had with the lieutenant governor of Georgia back in 2020 when he was asking them about the votes. There's also false statements and writings. But I think what's really scary in this indictment is that there's a part where they're talking about the different charges, and they literally mention tweets of Trump when he was asking his supporters to go watch One American News Network, to go watch Newsmax, and
Right.
they literally list that in the indictment as if tweeting for you to go watch a certain news channel is illegal in the United States of America. So I think that is, and again, this is like we're watching as they're trying to criminalize not just questioning the election, which should be completely something that you think in a so-called democracy you'd be free to do, but also the First Amendment overall, right? So I don't necessarily know what's going to happen. I don't know. What do you think, Bella?
Well, I mean, I think that if they're basing charges on tweets and news articles and not off any actual, so it's like, what are they trying to prove? That Trump, that basically there was an effort to overturn the results in Georgia, in the state of Georgia, with the Stop the Steal rallies.
Yeah. But there's more. That's why it's like a RICO charge, right? So RICO means that there's like a criminal enterprise that was trying to overturn the election. That's why it's a lot more serious. And that's why he has like co-conspirators, which is like Jenna Ellis is listed there, Rudy Giuliani,
18 co-defendants in the indictment coming out of Georgia.
Right. So, I think we're looking at possibly one of the worst times in history for Americans. I think that as much as we like to just, I do it all the time. I kind of just don't want to think about this as much as, I don't want to hide the chat. I want to see the chat. I don't really want to think about this, but the reality is that it is happening in America. They are weaponizing, Joe Biden's for sure weaponizing his Justice Department. He's trying to put his main political opponent in jail. Something that they actually accused Vladimir Putin of doing. That's one of the biggest things that you always hear coming out of conservatives' mouths is Russia is not a free society. Russia is a dictatorship. Russia Vladimir Putin puts his political opponents in jail, and we're not like that. We're better than that. And I just don't think that, I want to put this slide over here. I just don't think that we're actually any better than Russia. On the contrary, I think that we've been doing far worse things for a very long time. It's just that people didn't really notice.
I think that even when you look at the way that some of the political opponents are also behaving and the lack of conversation around the fact that we're seeing a weaponized Justice Department right now, right? So in particular, we know that the idea is that DeSantis is going to be the front runner.
Yeah.
And they've made it so blatantly obvious at this point. And I say they because it's clearly him plus the surrogates that we know, whether it's the media or the push-a-bots or whatever it is that shows up on your timeline when you speak any kind of facts on Donald Trump.
Yeah.
The idea is that they really want even one of these charges to land so that they can automatically default. And by they, I mean Ron DeSantis could automatically default to that incumbent position for the Republican Party because they don't want him to run. And we've entertained the idea where, I know it's a little controversial, but I personally, this is all opinion based. I personally feel that if we're ever going to get out of the two-party system, there's never going to be a better time than this very moment in history. There's never going to be another person that comes along like Donald Trump that has the potential to take a third party forward. Right. I think that anybody else runs as a third party and it's a guaranteed L. But The reality is that the two-party system is a lie.
Mhm.
The lie, the illusion of the two-party system and the illusion of choice is part of the downfall that we've seen in this country, where people just settle for what it is that they tell us, that here are the two options that we've chosen for you. Pick which one it is that you guys like best, to give you the illusion of choice. So truly, for me, one of the only ways that we're able to get out of this like two-party matrix is through a third party run. And I don't feel like ever in history or ever again will we be given that opportunity for a candidate to run third party and potentially win.
I just don't know if that will happen. I mean, I think I like to think that, and I think it would be in the best interest of the country. And I think a lot more people would probably gravitate towards Trump if that happened. Like a lot of people that totally hate Republicans. And I think we stood there at one point, and even now we're just so sick of the party. Like I was just being attacked by a DeSantis bro, and which
Every
they all
day.
have the same. They all have the same attitude. Here's a problem with a lot of these DeSantis supporters who are on social media, especially on Twitter, who were hired by PR agencies. Just so you guys know, let me rewind and tell you guys something that we just came to learn over the past few years, possibly in the last 2 years, which is that the Republican Party, along with the Democrat Party, they hire these agencies and or consultants, mostly marketing PR agencies, to run opposition research, to run opposition what do you call it, to just basically trying to like diffuse and stop your opposition from whatever it is.
Right. They're like whole agency that dedicate themselves to psyops,
Mhm.
to influencing public opinion, to
Yeah.
identifying threats. So I had sent you the information. There's a particular company. I'm gonna try and see if I can actually bring it up for you guys. The name of the company is Cyabra, and it's spelled Cyabra, Cyabra.
Mhm.
And this company, this is an Israeli tech firm that is solely dedicated to identify potential threats to a company's or an individual's reputation online and instantly neutralize that. So part of the services that they offer are psyop mitigation, identifying of communities, targeting community leaders. What were some of the other ones that showed up, Linda, that I had sent out to you? Point of the matter is that it's all the entire purpose of this firm is all of these millions and millions of dollars of resources pumped into molding public opinion, shifting public opinion, narrating what it is that we're meant to believe in by changing the environment around us, whether that's by sending in a ton of bots or hiring influencers or whatever it may be. It's all meant to change and shift perception.
Yeah.
And it's worth mentioning that we've actually been talking about the presence of these DeSantis bots on Twitter for quite some time now. We've been highlighting how this is a problem that's been going on.
Mhm.
And it's the Cyabra company actually takes out an article a couple of months ago saying that it is the Trump's team that is in fact the one with the bots on the Twitter space. Why? Because again, it's all an effort to shift the public opinion, the perception of what the majority of people are thinking. Because
Right.
the idea is if everybody else is thinking it, then there's a higher
So
probability that it could be
they
right.
they use bots and or they'll hire people to manage accounts, which is what they actually did to Ron DeSantis. So immediately after the 2022 election, you saw a bunch of different accounts that were very pro DeSantis and very against Trump. It wasn't just that they were rooting for DeSantis, but they were completely trashing Trump supporters, Trump's reputation. And then you recognize certain patterns of behavior or certain things that they say over and over again, and then they regurgitate throughout the entire Twitter sphere. So this is something that we noticed. We weren't actually active on Twitter at all last year after the election. I didn't actually start tweeting or building our following on Twitter until I think February or March of this year. I think maybe even later. I want to say maybe like April. And what we quickly realized was that there was a lot of AI used in this with these accounts, especially with their profile pictures and stuff like that. And so the problem with these accounts, with this rhetoric, is that they want to trash Trump supporters as the most uneducated, low class, dumb, stupid people, and
deplorables. It's
deplorable.
2016 all over again.
2016 all over again. I think the saddest part is that it comes from a side where we all thought that we were together, right? Like we all supported Ron DeSantis because Trump introduced them to the MAGA base, right? Like they don't want to admit that. That's something else that they completely took away from us, saying that no, he was fine without us. He was making it. He was a great congressman. Well, you and I both know that that's 100% not true.
Mm-hmm.
I have pictures, which I'll post maybe tomorrow on Twitter, of the first rally in 2018. Before I even had the Wake Up with Linda account, this rally took place 2 hours northwest of Miami in a town called Stereo, Florida. And that's where Trump introduced DeSantis to us. I never knew that he was. I wasn't very politically active at the time. And I hate to break it down to DeSantis supporters, but not a single one of us. I didn't drive 2 hours northwest to go see Ron DeSantis, to then drive 2 hours back with my best friend to make it back home, right? We went to see Trump for the first time. And it's just unfortunate that those people that we thought we were together with, that we were all supporting each other, we're all part of the same team,
Right.
we all were working together for the common goal. Right after 2020, that election in 2022, these people completely are decimating Trump and his supporters, right?
Mm-hmm.
With really the means of demoralizing the base, as Trump can win. He didn't win 2020. Even if he did win 2020, he's still not in the White House, and therefore, how could he win 2024? He's too toxic. People don't like him. Gen Z, the women, the suburban voters. I mean, we can go down. Bella and I are, a little bit schizophrenic, so we're able to pick up on certain things and remember phrases or things that others don't. And it was quite interesting to see some of those narratives being played out over and over again, when we just knew.
Well, you can watch the narrative shift, right? Like you almost,
right,
when you're watching it develop, you can almost like keep your ear to like the Twitter sphere, and you'll start seeing when they got a new narrative to drop, because all of them at the same time will start regurgitating the same talking point, very similar to Mockingbird Media. And it's all happening through this surrogate of fake accounts and AI generated accounts, which is a great way of astroturfing reality, right? Because Trump's support is in fact so organic,
right.
and his supporters are in fact very, cultish. It's fine. I don't give a fuck. Like, we're not gonna vote. It's what they call cultish, in the sense where, like, well, you're not gonna vote for anybody else. No, to somebody in the chat that said, if Trump is not able to run for president, who would you vote for? We're not, because the way that we see it is the people want Trump. And if the only way that they could stop Trump is by illegally persecuting him, then why would we cast our vote for the make pretend candidate that they said that we could have?
Yeah.
No. If Trump is unable to run, it is the doing of the dual of the double the illusion of the dual market, the dual party system. If Trump is arrested for whatever reason, that is going to be a direct result of the two parties working together. And because that is the case, we're not going to give our vote to whoever the establishment candidate is just because he has an R next to his name and wears a red tie.
Right. Yeah. How come your camera looks so much better than mine?
I'm not sure.
Are you on the new computer?
No, I'm on my phone.
That's weird. I wonder. I wonder if mine is like 30. Yeah, you like your screen looks a lot more like clear. Like
Yeah.
yeah. The Unit Party wants to prop up their hand to pick candidates.
Correct.
So this is what I've been saying for a while, which is that they will give us a Newsom or try to give us a Newsom,
DeSantis. Right.
DeSantis, right? DeSantis run, and because it'll be the establishment's picks. I actually don't think that they're gonna let Biden go all the way through
Neither do
with
I.
running again. I think it's pretty obvious that most people hate him. I spent time with a Democrat friend this weekend, and I'll have to say he's part of the LGBT community. He's a gay man, older man, and he actually voted Trump in 2020, but he is a registered Democrat. And he was saying like we can't have this man, like we can't have uh um what's his name, we can't have Biden. Like he's an old man, he's falling all over the place. It's embarrassing. I've been a Democrat my entire life. I voted for Trump because my pockets were doing great. And that's what I tell people, like at the end of the day, people are going to think about their pockets, about the economy,
Mm-hmm.
the bottom line. And what he did have to tell me was, if I had to choose between Trump and DeSantis, I am choosing Trump. And obviously, he's still a little bit consumed with the mainstream media. He got vaccinated, he believed in all that stuff. But he did have to say, like, DeSantis is choosing to fight with everyone. If it's like the Black issue that just recently happened, if it's the LGBT people, with the women with the abortion stuff. Obviously, we're pro-life, but this is, I'm telling you the perspective from a person who's
From the
on the left,
average who's a
right?
moderate. Right.
From who's on the left, who did vote Trump in 2020. And he's like, I just don't know what the fuck is wrong with him. Like, look at the insurance cost. He's a house owner. So, you know, his insurance has like doubled, you know. I just read an article today, actually, that Roger Stone retweeted, which says that we are getting ready. I have it right here. We're getting ready to see another increase in auto insurance in Florida. So, auto insurance, my FPL bill, which is my electricity bill, is ridiculous. It's actually my electricity bill for one person in Miami, or a one bedroom apartment in Miami, is more expensive than Inform with Anthony Cavazza, who lives in California and LA, and he has 5 people living in his house. How is that possible? How is Florida is becoming as unaffordable as California?
And we're gonna see an increase. We're gonna see an increase over. I think it's something like over the next over the next 9 years or something like that. They're making us pay for they're making us pay for the solar panels. Is basically what's happening. They're gonna change the entire infrastructure of the poles and take it underground, all over the state of Florida, and they're gonna have, we as consumers are gonna have to fork up the cost, and that's going to double the cost of utilities.
Yeah.
We're
It's really unfortunate what's happening here in Florida, because it was a very, and I'm sure in other places of Florida is actually more affordable than cities like Miami, Tampa, Orlando, Sarasota, and stuff like that. And Adam, I know you're moving here. Just so you know, you have no choice. Everybody is an FBL customer. You have no choice, my friend. Also, thank you so much, Adam, for your contribution. Adam says, hold on, let me put it here. What can I? Hold on, here we go. It says, hey, ladies, somber night. Thank you for your dedication to shouting the truth. See you Thursday. Thank you so much, Adam. And then Erica Torres. Thank you so much, Erica, for being here with us tonight. So I don't really know what to say in terms of, like, people ask me all the time, even when I run into friends that are not very political, but they follow us. I'm sure tomorrow when I go to the gym, I'm going to get it, because I always do every single freaking morning.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is Trump going to go to jail? I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's gotten to the point where I can no longer say that they're not going to do it, because I do think that that's what they want. And if they could actually give it a death penalty and do the deed in front of everybody, they would. because that's just how much they hate Trump. I think that it's pretty clear that he is the only candidate that they fear. I know DeSantis people have tried to make it seem like it's him, that it's more people are more scared of DeSantis. No, he's just more disliked. The reason why they're picking on DeSantis so much in the media is because he's an easy person to pick. He's very awkward. He has no social skills. He's committed a lot of different mistakes. In the fact that, like, you know, the videos that he put out for the LGBT, there was one that had like Nazi symbolism. So there is a lot of content that the DeSantis campaign has given us to actually tear apart.
They're running far right. Like they are running their campaign is running to the right of Trump, right? Which I think it's part of what makes it so insufferable, because you know, you quickly realize just how annoying extremes are on both ends. Like, can you just live? Can we be allowed to live by the party?
Mm-hmm. You know, I think that this is actually a problem that we're seeing right now, which is that conservative influencers and conservative online personalities are bored. They're in an off year. A lot of them don't have anything to grift off. They don't have real jobs. They don't have businesses. They don't really do much. So they're perpetually online, right? And when you're perpetually online, what happens is you have a warped view of reality. And it happens to the left and it happens to the right. And the reality is the majority of Americans, as I've said many times, and I stand by this, fall somewhere in the middle. Even if they vote left, even if whatever they fall somewhere in the middle. But you have the very extremist left and you have an extremist right. And right wingers don't like to talk about that because they're like, oh, you guys are starting to sound like Democrats. You guys are starting to sound like Democrats. Like, what are you talking about? You guys are starting to. No, there is. And there is, what do you call it? Like, I don't want to say it's far right. I would say it's more like edgy. Like they're trying to be edgy and cool and just be like, we're the more fascist, we're the more base.
How far they can push the envelope more than the next guy, more than the next guy, more than the next guy, until you get to a point of absolute intolerance, which is a turnoff to those of us that actually found a home within MAGA and felt like, I feel at home here. I feel like, wow, like this is not at all what the media told me that it was. Like, people are nice here. People don't hate Latinos. They don't hate blacks. They don't hate gays. Like, this is actually a party that's embracive of just individualistic freedoms and allowing people to just be Americans in this country. And then, you know, you've watched kind of, I wonder how much of it has to do with like the anger as a result of 2020 and like an escalation. And clearly when people get angry, they can act out of character or think out of character, or they can become frustrated. Their patience lacks. And I wonder how much of what it is that we're watching right now is a result of the anger that comes attached with what we experienced in November of 2020.
Yeah. I just want to give a shout out also to Grant Wells really quickly. He says the two-party system is garbage. If not for Trump, society would be in more trouble. God bless Donald J. Trump and Dios te bendiga, Bella Linda, for bringing the truth to light. Thank you so much, Grant, for being with us tonight. Truly, truly appreciate that. You know, when you go outside of the US, whatever country may be, obviously Trump has opposition. Everyone's always going to have opposition. It's no different than any political figure in history. There was people that supported the bad guys and also the people that fought against them. You know, whatever it is, historical, religious figure, there's always opposition and there's supporters. Now, here's the thing. Majority of the world, majority of people like and love Donald Trump. Like they love it. They love him. And what's happened is after everything that happens in the US has a trickling effect throughout the world. So the minute that our country started going to shit, the minute that the inflation started hitting us, the minute that we started having negative effects in our economy, in our trade, stuff like that, the entire rest of the world feels it. And it's not just that. The minute that Trump fell, so did Brazil, So did Colombia. So did Peru, right?
Or besides, because we watch what happens when America is destabilized, right? It's
Exactly. And I don't think that a lot of Americans outside of their little bubble understand how much impact some people do. Some people do care about foreign policy. Some people do understand that, but there's a lot of people that don't. There's a lot of people that have a very narrow view that is just, we don't care about the rest of the world. And I understand the America First position. That's not what I'm arguing. But what they did to Trump, which my mom predicted, she's like, they're going to remove Trump and they're going to go after Bolsonaro. And that's exactly what happened. I do think it's interesting what we're seeing out of Argentina. Argentina right now, which I had no idea. The only reason why I know about this is because of TikTok. Again, I still stand by the fact that I think TikTok is the best decentralized app as far as getting world news and actually knowing what the people are saying here in the US and outside of the world. It's actually how I know that Trump has more support than ever, because we've seen it. We've seen that even with Gen Z, Trump is trending very, very well. We see that there's accounts that are made by Muslims that are pro-Trump, accounts that are made by different minorities which are supposed to hate Trump, and they have millions, hundreds of millions of views. They have hundreds of millions of comments that are very positive. These are not bots.
It's the only platform where we see his content truly go viral.
Very, very viral.
Right.
We saw, who was it that I saw? Oh, okay. So out of Argentina. So there is a guy, I do not know his name. Maybe you guys could look it up. And he's basically just won the primaries with the most votes. I don't know in how long he's a libertarian right-wing guy. I'm sure eventually he's going to be labeled as a fascist if he hasn't already. He's pretty white and he has blue eyes. So I already know the Nazi stuff is coming, especially in Argentina. We all know how that works over there. And there's barely any minorities there. There's 2 blacks in the entire country, I think. So I wouldn't doubt it if we start hearing how this guy's a Nazi and descendants from Hitler's army or something. The point is that Argentina has been facing a really tough economic situation for the past couple of years. I know the guy apparently wants to implement the dollar as the main currency of Argentina. I know he wants to have business deregulations. I haven't really looked so much into all his policies, but what I have seen is the youth in Argentina making this guy go viral, making fun of liberalism, saying that it's, for retarded people, literally verbatim, what the Argentinians are saying, that it's all of this is in Spanish, by the way. I'm just saying that, translating in English, making all these memes and all these TikToks about how cool and base he is and how there's hope for the youth. So you got to think of the demographic that's on TikTok, which predominantly people from the ages of 16 years old and 24 years old. And these are all the people who are pushing this new right-wing libertarian guy. I know they've asked him about transgenderism and, the LGBT and stuff like that. And he's pretty much stands on the, if, you're an adult, you do what you got to do. We protect the rights of everybody. But if you're a child, you got to stay away from that. So that's as far as I've seen from that guy. We should probably look into him too.
It would probably be worth doing a whole in-depth dive on him. Maybe a good time to do that, like we did on Nayib Bukele.
Yeah.
Shooter White, porque si ya saben cómo me pongo, ¿para qué me invita? Our boy Shooter, and he's sending the money to help Jebba Ellis.
Jenna Ellis, who pretty much
that was going on with Jebba. I think a lot of people don't know. So for those of you who do not know, Jebba Ellis, Jenna Ellis, Trump's former attorney, who has been consistently shitting on him for the last couple of months and on his supporters, even on us. Didn't she come into our threads to troll us a little bit?
She did. She came to throw shade about Miami since she moved here, and she thinks that she knows more than we do. And she says that Trump lost Miami. Oh, if Trump is so popular in Miami, then why did he lose Miami in 2020? But yeah, continue.
So Jenna, who was listed in today's indictment, and apparently Jenna and her friends are really upset that the Trump PAC isn't jumping through hoops of fire to pay for her representation in the indictment. So now they're pissed and they're crying, but also they've started a GoFundMe for Jenna to help pay for her legal fees for this indictment that's coming out of Georgia today that actually listed 18 Trump associates aside from Trump. I don't know. I'm of the belief that it really can't go anywhere because if because here's my thought process.
They can't criminalize the First Amendment. The first thing,
right.
First thing is first. They can't.
And even if they do, because it's DC and the entire thing is broken, it's just like hot trash. Even if they do, it could be taken up to the Supreme Court level, and there's no way that the Supreme Court is going to allow any of these weak, thin, watered down. I would think, to be honest with you, the indictment that I would be the most worried about, that I feel that they could potentially do damage with him, is going to be the one out of Florida. And the reason why I believe that it's the one out of Florida, because like we mentioned earlier on in the show, I don't believe that they're above sacrificing a Joe Biden presidency.
They're not.
And because I don't think they're above sacrificing a Joe Biden presidency, and he also had the documents would be a lesser charge than all of the spectacle that we're coming that's coming out in the news now about potential business dealings out of Ukraine or out of China. The document situation would really be a way of giving him the least possible crime, getting rid of him, at the same time setting the precedents where then they could say like, well, you know, we took our own guy out for this, so we could take out Trump for this very same thing. So to me, the indictment that I would be most worried about would be the one out of Florida, because I can see the establishment sacrificing Joe Biden for the same cause in order to give credibility to that particular indictment. But these that are coming out of DC, the way that I see it is that even if it was in fact, if he was found guilty, I think that if it made its way up to a Supreme Court, because what they're relying on as evidence are tweets and, you know, I watch Newsmax on this day at this time, or listen to this interview. Given that the evidence is just so weak, you'd have to believe that at a higher level outside of hot garbage DC, that is something that would be overturned by a Supreme Court.
Right. I just want to read something that Emmanuel Rincon is a journalist who was working. He's a Latin American journalist. He was working for El American or El Americano, whatever. That's like in hot water with the president apparently running away with like millions of dollars, and like nobody knows where he is. So he's working for somebody else now, and he says this about, okay, so just to be clear, somebody mentioned the guy's name here. That is the name. Milei is the name of the candidate running Argentina, the libertarian. Somebody said libertarian far right, which makes absolutely no sense, but you know how the left is. So this is what he has to say. He says, the left is afraid because the Bukele government and eventually Milei government in Argentina are going to show how incompetent, corrupt, and criminal they are. Talking about the left wing. If Milei wins, there's no turning back. The pendulum in Latin America begins to turn. We must win the cultural, economic, and ideological and political battle. So I think there's a lot of hope for this guy. We're certainly going to read into him, particularly his economic agenda and perhaps some of the social and cultural issues that he wants to tackle, which some people says that, you know, Argentina, I guess, has gone down the oh, here we go. I found it. I found a Trantifa account already talking about him. So it must be great. So Scott Long Trantifa says Milei is against abortion, women's rights, LGBT rights, and almost all human rights. Shocker. No protections for minorities. Again, Argentina has like 2 Black people, so I don't know what that's about. He endorses the far-right Madrid Charter and supports fascists like Trump, Cast, Bolsonaro. Stop calling him a libertarian. So based, I suppose, because...
Sounds pretty base to me.
Sounds pretty base. And he just has like the funniest look. And I just know, I'm waiting You can. That's
No, he's got a vibe. He's got
like with the sideburns and shit.
yeah, it's like
And so I wanted to.
giving like Argentinian Wolverine.
Yeah, he is. Somebody says, how far are they willing to go to stop this man? I'm afraid for his safety. We're all afraid for his safety and our safety, actually. I think that if they could get rid of him, which like unalive him, they would. And I think that I've said this before, and I think that they've probably tried to do that. And I think that they won't stop. I just don't know if they're prepared to piss off 75 million voters again. And I'm not saying because of violence or anything like that. It's just that it doesn't set a good precedent for any party, for America to indict a presidential candidate right now, probably the most popular presidential candidate, the one that stands a chance against Biden and the Democrats, because he questioned the 2020 election. And it's not just him, it was all of us. I mean, Bella always brings this up, which is that Stop the Steal happened because the people wanted it. Donald Trump did not start Stop the Steal. Donald Trump did not come up with the idea to go to Washington, D.C. back in November of 2020, in December, and even January 6th. That was actually all people. The people were doing that. And so it's really a slap in the face to Trump supporters, to the American people, that we're not even allowed to question our elections and want integrity. You know, Brian Kemp, who's a rhino and he's an establishment Republican, he keeps saying that the election wasn't stolen. He said the election wasn't stolen, the election was fair and free. Every single case was thrown out, or every single case that was brought up against election integrity or for election integrity didn't come through. Nothing happened. We never found any evidence. And Jack Posobiec actually had a great point. You never went into discovery. Correct. You threw away the cases. That doesn't mean you lost. If you don't go into discovery, you can't actually discover anything. You can't discover any wrongdoings of the signature, the ballot, anything, if you don't go through that discovery process, which the courts never allowed it.
Can I point something out to you?
Yes.
He told us that this is what they were gonna do. He said they're gonna run out the clock. They're gonna run out the clock. You're never gonna be able to prove. He told us you're never gonna be able to prove it. By the time that you are, they would have run out the clock.
Right.
Because they're going to stop them before they ever see a day in court. It was something, and they keep talking about how there's something like, 70 something cases have been thrown out or whatever. There was over 200 cases. There's cases still sitting, waiting to be seen that have never been looked at, because it goes back to the warning that we got directly from Donald Trump, that when he told us they're going to run out the clock.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they did. BMac says, you're so cute. He says, got a job interview tomorrow morning, but I'm staying up for my Diaz Gen Z for MAGA. You can stay up for a little bit, but you should definitely get your sleep, and you should definitely be prepared and be well-groomed.
We're going to upload this. You can watch it on your way to your job.
Well-groomed and prepared, and be confident. And remember that there's probably going to be people that have less experience than you, but they'll have more confidence. So you have to outdo those people, especially if you're going for a sales job. It's all about setting yourself and over exaggerating your skills. It's all about attitude, not facts. You can actually find that quote in a book called The Power of Positive Thinking, that attitude is more important than facts. So just, do great tomorrow.
So stay up for a little bit, but not a lot.
For a little bit.
Either we have a follower from India saying,
put him up. Where is he?
Where are we? Hold on. I'm trying to find
him. Lots of love from India, ladies. Love your content. My mornings are way better than before. I learn a lot. Thank you so much. We definitely love Indian people. My best friend is Indian. We were just having a conversation today about Hindu people and how much they're into the stars and astrology and things like that. I don't know if the correct term would be astrology, but yeah, I love the Hindu culture. My best friend since high school married a great Indian woman, and they just had a baby about a month ago. So we're really excited about that. His family has been great to me for the last couple of years. But yeah, good luck, BMac, and make sure you kick ass and you have a lot of confidence in your interview. because it's a tough marketplace out there.
That's what gets it every single time.
Um, I was gonna bring up something
Do
else
you
that I
think
saw today.
that, I mean, and here's a theory and one to consider, right? Which is the idea that the indictments open up the opportunity for evidence to be introduced into court. So we're on this very conversation where, like Jack Posobiec pointed out, none of these cases have actually ever gone into a discovery. But
Mm-hmm.
because Trump is going to have to offer a defense, and
Yeah.
the claim is that he fraudulently claimed that the election, that there was inconsistencies with the election, because that was the claim, his defense is going to have to be like, well, it wasn't a false claim because, and here's the proof. And it's going to force this evidence into a world stage because, I mean, the world
Hopefully.
is going to be watching this trial unfold.
That's
Right?
what what's the name of the woman who started the Women for Trump? There was the mom and the daughter.
You're talking about, yes.
Turner. Shit, I forgot. Amy something.
We
She
during
she tweeted it today. She said that all of this was gonna basically come forward, and people were gonna be able to see the evidence of what actually happened in Georgia, which we can't go into explicit detail here. Somebody asked, hold on, where is it? Is this one? Oh shit, I forgot. I don't know where you are. Somebody was asking me about why I'm beefing with Bryson Gray. Because I explained this already. We explained this on a chat. Sorry, we explained this last week. The reason why I'm beefing with Bryson is because Bryson decided to attack us. And I actually found the tweet today and I sent it to Bryson's dad because Bryson's dad was going back and forth with me on Twitter. And this is actually what set off the entire thing with Bryson, which is that I tweeted, not directed at him. I have him muted. I don't like him, so I don't pay attention to his content, which is what I actually tell people. Don't follow content that triggers you or pisses you off or you don't like. Just mute people. So I tweeted on the 7th, I said, Donald Trump is more appealing to women than the conservative commentators and influencers who shit on women, constantly want to tell us how to live, act like Puritans, and have no riz. This wasn't directed towards him at all. I wasn't thinking about him at all, but I guess he took that very personal and he decided to quote tweet me. You see right here.
Oh, wait, you're not in the camera. The other direction.
You see it right there. And he says, translation, you want to be a degenerate and support Donald Trump. You're free to do so, and others are free to call out degeneracy and rebuke it as the Bible tells us to. So the first problem with Bryson is that he thinks he lives in a theocracy, or he thinks that he has the moral authority to tell random people on the internet, not in person, just random people on the internet, how they should live, or that he has the moral authority to use the Bible, because that's what they do. They want to use the Bible to shame, condemn, humiliate different people, not just women, but I guess homosexuals.
Well, they shield themselves. They shield their judgment with the Bible.
They shield their judgment with the Bible. So there was no commentary from our part about degeneracy or from anything at all. But somehow he equated that into, if you want to be a degenerate, vote for Donald Trump, to which I pointed out and said, there is no mention here of degeneracy. Donald Trump was a moderate. It's the reason why he won 10 million more people. And in 2020, then 2016. And that's what set off the entire thing, where he said women are degenerate by nature. Modern day women are degenerate by nature. Whatever the fuck that means. Does that mean his fiance is also a degenerate? Does that mean he's a degenerate? Because really and truly, if you're on the internet, you're already using a modern day tool. So that's what set off the whole thing. And yeah, Bryson really did start everything. And he has lied and gaslighted his followers, my followers, and everybody, saying that it was me who started it, saying that, lying, saying that we were attacking all conservative housewives. That's not true. We attacked one person, or I attacked one person because I was calling her out for being an ex-ho now turned into a trad wife, which is great. Again, we've said it many, many times. You are worthy of redemption, and you are also worthy of being saved, if that's what you want to call it. And your sins can be forgiven. What's not cool is when you stop being a hoe, get married, and then now you go on the internet to act like the morality police. Then you decide to go after girls who are wearing bikinis, younger girls, or whatever they may be doing, and start calling them out. So that's what really set it off. And Bryson, because Bryson, you gotta understand something. Bryson's not a real godly person. He's actually not God-based. He is a very evil person that lies and does the opposite of what he says the Bible says. That's what he does. Because if you were a real Christian, you wouldn't be lying about what happened. You would be saying the truth. The truth is that you attacked me, and then I attacked you. And you had no reason to attack me. You also had no reason to call us harlots. You also had no reason to call us degenerates. In fact, what ended up happening was that I showed his father, I said, does this picture of his fiance, I forgot her name right now, is this of a harlot? Because his father, I guess, is also a religious extremist, just like he is. Oh, well, the Bible says that, what does the Bible say about harlots? The Bible, what were you wearing? His father was literally asking me to send him pictures. Like you could see it on my timeline. His father, creepy as fuck, was asking, show me your pictures. Show me your pictures. Why the fuck do I have to show you pictures? Like, who the fuck are you? This is exactly where you could see where Bryson get his dumb attitude from. Is his father, who didn't raise him right, who is asking women on the internet to show him pictures so that he could judge whether we're harlots or not. Absolutely creepy, very disgusting. And so what I did was, okay, well, what about his fiance? Here are pictures of her with a very deep V-neck, and is she a harlot? Oh no, that's just the cleavage. Well, that's exactly what we're saying. That's exactly where your son attacked us, because I have cleavage showing in my profile picture on Twitter. Not because of anything else, not because I'm twerking, not because I'm doing OnlyFans, not because I'm fucking posting my ass or anything. Literally over cleavage. That's why he didn't stop at harlots. We have a video of him literally calling us whores. You know what? Since we're here, I'm going to upload it really quick, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what we're talking. I sent it to his father. I said, this is what your son was doing. And I just want to know, how and why is this acceptable? Why does your son feel the need to be the moral authority? And you know what this does? This gives Christians such a horrible reputation. Like there's no way in hell that you could get me to go to the church where these people attend, ever. And if I were an atheist, I would be more of an atheist just by listening to these people, because that's how horrible they are to others. I mean, he apparently also attacked
these two most beautiful.
He apparently also attacked what's his name? Conservative Ant. I think I saw that somewhere. I didn't pay attention a few months ago. That's what my followers were saying. I had followers coming and saying that they had stopped following him when he had started attacking this guy. Let me show you guys this is part of a live that Bella recorded. And hold on.
These two mostly beautiful Latino weirdos who dress like whores, post thirst traps for attention. Them and some other people on Twitter, including the original poster.
So there you have it. Bryson Gay talking about starting the drama, which is funny. In that same video, he's like, I don't like to argue. Linda's scared to come on my life. And then he says, well, forget it. I don't want her to come in because I don't argue with women. Well, you've been arguing with women, and the reason why the reason why we're in this situation, we're still fighting 7 days later with your retarded followers, is because you started arguing with a woman because you're feminized, and that's what feminized men do.
The problem is that men aren't supposed to argue with women at all. Somebody wrote in the comments, like, this is why it's better to just dodge women because y'all will snitch anybody out. But like, really, He's snitching himself out. Like, what is he doing going on? He's on his page. He's 3 lives deep, a shit ton of tweets. His dad, his wife, his fan base, they don't leave us alone. So it's like, we're not fucking doing anything. What did we do? We made a very realistic tweet about Isabella Moody Ridey. Isabella Ridey Moody. We did it. Okay, fine. That's between 2 women. Right. That's not for Bryson to get into the middle of it and continue to insist and then send women out here. But that's just dumb. Dumb's like, I'm sorry, but when do you guys post your stir-ups? Bro, I'm not even allowed on the internet.
Right. This is also, I'm not even allowed on the internet. This is, you got to also understand that I'm not married, but she's married. And when you're calling a married woman a whore and accusing her of posting thirst traps, that's a problem. That's a problem. And that just goes to show you how this man has absolutely no respect for anybody. Forget women, minorities. I don't want to get into the, oh, he's anti, what? Yeah, he is. He's a homophobe for sure. But he has absolutely no respect for people because he wasn't raised right. The conversations with his dad showed me exactly why this man is the way that he is. Because he wasn't raised right, which I told his dad. I said, you raised a shitty human. You raised a shitty person. You know, your son doesn't have the moral authority to come after women over anything. Which is also funny because 2 of his followers, these bitches, forgot their names right now, Sunni and whatever. These women have spent the last 7 days attacking me, bullying me, mocking me. In fact, one of them went as far as dressing like me to do a skit on Friday. They came on our live on Thursday because she's obsessed with me. And then she makes videos, an hour-long videos about me, right? Picking on me, saying all these things. And when I hit back, they literally start crying, victim. They start crying that I'm the victim. So this is always how it goes. All right. If I would have been mocking these women who are less attractive than me, who have less followers than me, who are, one of them is Black. She's been, both of them have been crying that I'm a racist for a very long time. I honestly don't care. And it's funny because if I would have done what they've done to me for the past 8 days, it wouldn't have been received right. It would have been, I'm the mean girl. I'm the mean popular girl with more followers who's prettier attacking these women. But because they're not, then it's okay. It's fine. It's the double standard. So today, actually, there was a video that we found of one of the girls. And in the video, she's talking about how her daughter attempted to commit suicide or had a suicide attempt. And they didn't talk about it for a very long time. And months later, I guess the daughter finally talked about it. And, you know, this woman was like, well, why did this happen? Like, why did you try to, like, you know, unalive yourself type of stuff? And the girl, or why didn't you tell me? And the girl literally said to her mother that she didn't want to tell her anything because she had seen how her mother talked about other people and how she judged others, right? Did she not say that?
On the internet.
On the internet
all the time.
Her daughter that tried unaliving himself didn't tell her mom that she was being bullied in school because she heard how her mom talked about other people on the internet. What does that translate to? Your mother's a bully and you can't confide in your mother because of what you've seen her say of other people on the internet. She's mad that I posted that. Well, you talked about it on a podcast. It's public information. You see what happens with public information?
Oh, well, she was the one that tried getting clout from it. Like, she went on this podcast, wanted to talk about the circumstance with her daughter, and she shared that story and became a bully against an activist against bullying as a result of it. but then she goes on and she makes a 2.5 hour video. I just like, I don't even think we should be talking about it, because it's so beneath us. And I just don't think women are actually,
you don't have to talk about it, but somebody did ask, and that's the reality. And it pisses me off that he's been lying about it, because multiple people are like, well, you started this. And I'm like, no, I didn't. I don't talk to Bryson. I don't follow him. I don't like his content. I don't associate myself with him. I don't interact with him. It's actually really been him. So yeah, that's pretty interesting.
That's what we have. You know, somebody, this is going to shift. I know that we're talking about Donald Trump, but I wanted to ask you, because I saw it last night, actually. Somebody just brought up Rollo in the chat. Have you seen what happened with Rollo Tomasi?
Mm-mm.
What Brittany Venti did to him?
Didn't she? I don't think do people know who Rollo Tomasi is?
So,
do you guys know who it is?
I imagine
Brittany tried to trap him, right? To send nudes, or he said like send nudes or something.
So, Rollo Tomasi, for those of you that are unaware, is a self-identified godfather of the red pill space, right? But really, he's just like an overgrown incel. Anyways, Brittany Venti and Lauren Southern ran a prank on Rollo, and they both wanted to prove that he didn't check his sources. So what they did was that they sent him emails, each with leaked stories. Venti said that she had of herself, and Lauren said that she was that she was some guy who worked at a clinic who had proof that Lauren was pregnant with Destiny's baby.
Lauren is pregnant with
no, she never was. They just
was
Rollo these like falsified documents claiming that they was, and Rollo went in and started posting about how he had all this dirt on Destiny and all this dirt on Lauren and all this dirt on Brittany Venti, and then they proved that it was all a lie, and he's been completely humiliated on the internet.
I saw that because I follow both Brittany and Lauren, and I follow the other girl. There's a third girl. Who's the third girl? Forgot. There's a third girl involved, which I didn't know her until the whole situation happened with Rollo. I just think that, you know, the manosphere and this whole red pill, along with the conservative people who just really have no lives. Here's the thing that I told Bella today, and I said this also to Amir Odom. We are not a collectivist country. We are an individualistic country, right? That's why personal responsibility is such a big deal. There's obviously society norms. It's not appropriate to wear a G-string to go to Publix. It's inappropriate to wear that actually anywhere. It shouldn't be, unless it's at the beach, which I don't wear one, but I see girls wearing it. Is it illegal? No. Do I think it's comfortable to wear a G-string at the beach? No. Would I do it? No. But it is a free country, right? Is it illegal to be a homosexual? Like I asked the girl that was trying to shame me, saying like, oh, that's another lie, by the way, is that there's so many lies that Bryson has said. And I don't want to bring him back up, but by the way, he did lie and say that I was coming after him for hating gay people. I forgot to tell you that. That the reason why I hate him or that I'm defending homosexuals. They made this whole thing about gays. And that never happened. But when people were coming after me saying, you know, you're just defending gays, you're gonna have to take a stance. You're gonna have to take a stance between us and the gays. And I was like, first of all, who the fuck are you? I don't know who you are. And second of all, is it illegal to be a homosexual in this country? Because it's not. So I don't have to agree with their lifestyle choices. But what am I supposed to do? Like, what are people supposed to do? Just walk around shaming homosexuals down?
Well, I mean, that wouldn't be enough for them. Like, they really don't even, they can't articulate exactly what it is that the solution is that they want. Like, because now it's even to the point where if you're standing next to a gay person, then they're like, oh, you're not even a real conservative,
right?
You with your gay friend. Like,
yeah.
It's
the same.
They don't really know what it is that they want. Like I told you the other day, like, what is it that they fucking want? Like, do they want to move all the gays into a state and just a state and keep them isolated from the rest of society? Like, what is the outcome that they're hoping to get by just pushing this constant extreme rhetoric where it's like, if you're even pictured within the vicinity of a rainbow flag, which ironically Bryson can't stop taking pictures in, if you're even pictured in the vicinity of a pride flag, then you know, your political affiliation is questioned, your conservatism is
Yeah. Well,
uh,
there's so many people that actually always go complain to Anthony about me, which is obnoxious because Anthony's not my father. Anthony doesn't pay my bills. Anthony is a friend. And there's a lot of people that would go and complain to Anthony Cavazza because I would have a picture with Christian Walker or Amir Odom or, whatever it may be. And it's just like, I wasn't aware that voting the same way that you vote or having similar opinions when it comes to politics or culture or whatever, or society overall, meant that I couldn't have gay friends, meant that I couldn't take pictures with my gay friends or family members.
Mhm.
So that to me is I'm not going to live my, and it's actually why I barely post about my private life overall, because I don't really need people to be questioning who I hang out with, who I take pictures with. Look at how they reacted when I talked about an expensive date. That's still a topic of conversation until this day. So I'm very private for that matter because the internet, and especially conservatives, are extremely judgmental, and it's just not worth my time explaining to people the decisions that I make when it comes to personal friends or relationships. It's just absolutely fucking ridiculous. Like, I'm not gonna waste my time and go around South Beach telling homosexuals to repent and convert. And I mean, if you want to do that, it's freedom of speech. You're more than welcome to go to South Beach and start preaching the gospel or whatever. But I'm personally not going to do it. So that's that. Yeah. Somebody says, nobody has a problem with LGBT. No, a lot of people have a problem with gay and lesbian people. A lot of people have a problem with lesbian people, and including.
Right. I mean, Bryson is an example of it.
Bryson is an example of that.
You can be in the same room with somebody that's sitting 18 tables away from him if they're gay. Like, he'll have a problem with that.
Right.
So there is a lot of people that are actually
I don't blame you for having a personal life, as you should. You give ops ammunition. Yeah, it's just people will try to use anything. I mean, look at this girl, right? We brought up a video that we found of her that she publicly posted it, and now she's saying that I'm harassing her and her daughter, which is ridiculous. Will Witt from the Florida Standard. No, stop. This cannot be true. Will Witt from the Florida Standard also has some nudes leak online. And yes, he used to prostitute himself before and used to record fetish videos. I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
No,
I don't believe you.
Yeah, I don't believe this to be true.
I don't believe you. There's no way that Will Witt was doing that. There's a lot of people that I would believe that were prostituting themselves, but Will Witt, there's no way.
Oh,
you're gonna have to show us proof.
Henry. There's no way.
Henry, send us a picture. Send us the proof.
Send us something. Send us something.
I can't just believe you.
That's
evidence online for real,
bro.
There's evidence online of Will Witt prostituted himself.
No, I gotta start. Let me go.
Hold on.
Oh. No. I don't believe this.
That's crazy, dude. Let me see. The mysterious Witt.
No.
We need evidence of Will Witt hoeing past. Seriously. But at the end of the day, we already know that men are homemakers, so it doesn't matter. But it's very different if you were actually like.
No,
there's a sex worker. Can you send that to us? I don't want to Google.
I end up on a weird page. I'm scared. No, I just don't. It's a really outlandish story, particularly the fetishizing and the pimping himself out part. Who knows, man? We live in really wild times, but that's a pretty wild claim, bro.
That's pretty wild for sure.
Wild claim.
Rhoda looks like somebody's 60-year-old lesbian on. Yeah, that's what we're saying. We don't. He actually went at Elon Musk because Elon Musk said that you shouldn't he didn't say you shouldn't. He just said, you know, living an empty life of just sleeping around with women is going to drive you nowhere. He said something very like philosophical in terms of like men shouldn't waste all their energy sleeping with different people. And then Rolo, of course, got super triggered and was like, oh, Elon Musk just wants you to get married and then have to pay for alimony for 60 years and be broke. And it's like, no, he didn't say any of that. He didn't say any of that. He just said that you should consider not being a man whore and sleeping around and wasting your energy with different people. But these people are bizarre. That's just the way that they are. By the way, for those of you who aren't here, on Thursday, we are having an all-male panel as requested. No, we're not paying people to say whatever we think. We've never done that, which is ridiculous.
Somebody because of that?
Last podcast, they did. There was a guy that I ended up kicking out. I think it was Lucas. He already had me up to here. I put him on timeout. He's not kicked out. And Lucas was saying that basically, he said, I wonder if they'll ever bring somebody that doesn't agree with them, because Josue basically was not necessarily agreeing, but more or less on the same page with us when it came to like men and women dynamics. So they took that as an opportunity to say that we only bring people that agree with us. So this is going to be a very eclectic panel. We're going to have traditional men who are married. We're going to have hopefully this really interesting character that I see online, what I would consider a womanizer, to say the least. I don't want to say the man whore word. We're going to bring back Josue. We're going to have somebody else in an age gap relationship where he's the younger one in their relationship. And then one of Bella's friends, right?
Yeah.
So Thursday, I think
a long-term old school player that never settled down and shockingly disagrees with a lot of what the manosphere has to say, despite that being the lifestyle that he chose for himself a very long time ago. So we're it's gonna be an interesting cast. Not Zerka, bro. Like I don't even think that you could have like a serious episode with Zerka on. Not that he'd come on, because we're just a podcast.
I feel bad for him sometimes. And I don't say this to feel better. I just like the coke situation, like doing, I mean, I don't know, maybe he's lying, maybe it's an act. Hopefully it's an act and he's not doing coke that much. But honestly, like having a consistent coke habit where you need to do it before you go on a podcast every single time it's very dangerous. And I'm not gonna I don't want to.
Josue is fine. That's all.
Oh, that's hilarious. I just saw it right now. You think Josue is fine? He's short. Remember, they said that they would never. That short kings don't have a chance. Bella and I disagree. We think short kings are great.
The short kings take the. That's what we think.
Our followers disagree. They think that we're just lying to make men feel better. But hey, if you want to just never get laid, I guess don't. I don't know what to tell you. That's that. Do we have anyone else to say? We've been in for an hour, Bella.
Yeah, I think that's about it. It's gonna be a short one. Unless you guys have other questions, put them in the chat. We'll answer a few more before we get going.
Bro, this is so fucking funny. I just can't. You guys know Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch? This shit took me out. How is it that we're in the middle of this indictment and this man, this is what he posts, a picture of his back, a thirst trap, and he's like, pray for America. But you guys know that Tom Fitton loves his tight shirts with the skinny waist. So funny.
with the medium shirts.
By the way, I just talked to El Caballo this morning. Actually, El Caballo was like the first person I talked to this morning.
Caballo?
For reasons I can't mention yet, because I woke up to his text message, the one that I sent you. So I called him immediately. And I was actually asking him to come on Thursday, but he records this podcast on Thursday. So we're going to have to try to have El Caballo come around is to record with him on a Tuesday or on a Wednesday. So I did invite him on Thursday, but he can't, just so you guys know. Let's see. We don't care about Florida right-wing drama. Who's Florida? Well, we don't care about Florida right-wing drama. Well, that's too bad because my followers asked me. So you're not my follower.
What do you mean? Right-wing drama are you? But did you come in late? We're not even talking about that anymore.
I used to be an MRA. What's that? And used to
for a voice for men, and I was there when the pickup artist Red Pills took over a more or less sensible movement. I bailed once I saw that what it was gonna become. Yeah, like the pickup thing has been around for like a very long time.
What the hell is a pickup?
That's like originally what like the Rolos of the world and
Oh, okay.
preaching, like the how to pick up women.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, no, it's they've just become retarded. And I think that it's just a movement for like I saw a video today from Fresh and Fit, and the title was like, and I know you guys like Myram, so I'm not gonna speak ill of your boy, but it was pretty interesting that his title was like, oh, like, you know, lawyer Ho doesn't understand the suffrage of men, or something like completely ridiculous, which is again the equal, or what would be equal feminism. So as much as I disagree with feminism, radical feminist, I would disagree with the radical right-wing manosphere cope, which is that all women are bad and we blame all women for all society's problems. And yeah, I'm never going to agree with that. You know, men are lonely apparently, and
men are very, but I think that that's part of like my bigger concern with the whole RP thing is that men are statistically lonelier than women. You get to a point in your life where you experience extreme sadness and loneliness, and women don't get to that point. Women actually get happier as they get older. Like, you know, I know that the manosphere focuses on that like age range of like 40 to 50, but past that point, women actually start becoming more happier and satisfied with their lives than men do when they are alone and don't have companionship. So my actual concern is that I feel like the red pill is actually preparing men to get laid less, to get less women, to get less value women, because you know, unless you consider that like Donovan Sharp is in a high value relationship, I'm like, all right, well, whatever. I guess you can keep on failing until you find the one girl that lets you treat her like a slave. But that's not really a relationship. That's just you acquired a slave. So, you know, that's my concern, that I know that there's ugly guys out there, broke guys out there, short guys out there. They get massive play because they're nice, because they smell good, because they're courteous. It's a series of things that the manosphere completely villainizes and says that only simps do. And you know, I guess if you're Andrew Tate, you don't need to do any of those things. Maybe even if you're Myron, because you got all this clout from the podcast. But the average guy can't tell the average woman on a first date, like, well, if you don't pay, then I don't see any future, because you're probably not going on a lot of dates anyways. So again, you're not putting yourself in a situation where you're competing, where you're actually competing in the dating market. You're putting yourself at a disadvantage.
I would disagree with this, but it's obviously an opinion. I'm not quoting studies, but studies, you also have to look at the sample size of the study. I think women are able to deal, not that they're happier.
This is inaccurate.
Not that they're happier.
No, yes, they are. I know for a fact there are studies that will prove that.
But also, it's easier for us to be alone than it is for men to be alone. Absolutely. It's a lot easier for a woman to be alone, and it doesn't mean that we're whoring or, you know, I know a lot of you think it's like, oh, women want to fuck and that. It's not about that. It's about being comfortable being alone and self-sufficient. Men, for some reason, can do that, and then Bella, you can take it from here.
Yeah, I mean, and even so Shooter's putting, he's like, I'll challenge you on that. Women without 40 over kids are a different league. I agree. Like I said, there's that window between 40 and maybe even 55 where that could apply. But after that, you can actually look this up. The happiest age, the highest record of happy women are women over the age of 65, as opposed to, you look at men's mental health past the age of 65, and that's when extreme acute loneliness starts setting in for them. So there is a period there. All of the relationships are, again, women have the advantage in their 20s, probably up until their mid 30s, and then it swiftly changes, and men are at an advantage between like 35 up until the age of 50, 55, and then there's another shift. And when that shift comes, which is probably one of the last shifts that we have in the dating market before we perish from this world, that shift means that men end up significantly lonelier. I used to, for many years, I worked for an organization that helped senior citizens apply for like Medicaid funded programs. And it was all done over the phone. So I would have to train people on how to prepare for these phone calls with senior citizens. And one of the things that we would have to prepare them for was that the conversations with single older men were some of the more difficult conversations that they were going to have. They're less trusting, they're grumpier, they're angrier, all a result of the loneliness that sets in. Mostly because women also have a higher lifespan than men.
I don't, there's something, somebody said something like that men, women need men to be happy, men don't. No, we don't.
Agree with the complete opposite. A woman could go years without thinking about sex. You guys can't go a couple of hours without thinking about sex.
No, that's the problem. That's the problem.
A woman would write off sex for, I'm not saying that there's not exception of women out there that are horny and that they're, that they can't, but most women will be able to write off sex for a long time. Men can't do that.
Yeah.
Men can't do that. I think that maybe what you're referring to is that women can feel more fulfilled by relationships sometimes that men can. I might give you that, but this idea that women definitely can go without men. But the claim is that they may be sadder through a period of time. Fine, but
what MRA stands for, Men's Rights Activists. I had no idea.
Gotcha.
Oh, so that's what Pearl is. She's a men rights activist. That's funny. If I haven't been a women's male activist, you for sure won't fucking catch me doing it. Hell no. Pickup artists, that means they've known British women and men. I don't like Myram. I don't either. Women can't stand to go out without getting noticed. Y'all cry when alone, even on social media. What does that have to do with being able to be alone? It's very different than being okay with being alone. That one thing has nothing to do with another. You could have a mental breakdown and still be okay with living alone. That's not relatable, I think, in my opinion. The happiest I've been is single. I've learned to be comfortable by myself instead of jumping into a relationship just to avoid being alone. It's better to be alone than I agree. I don't think that there's a lot of people that, believe it or not, jump into relationships not to be alone. We need each other. No, we need each other. It's not a matter of we can be alone, fuck men. It's not about that at all.
I need
the reality is that you guys are also more sexual creatures than we are, right? That's why a lot of times men will talk about having the access to more women and being able to sleep with different partners. So from a sexual perspective, at least, women are able to not have to be intimate with other men, especially when you're older, versus men who it's easier for them to sleep with whoever. Why are gay men more promiscuous than lesbians? Gay men, you talk to a gay man and he's going to tell you some very horrific stories about the orgies that they have and how much sex they have and how they look at each other at the grocery store. And I've literally heard men say this, that they've had sex by looking at each other at a grocery store. And I say, well, how do you communicate with each other and know that you're gay? Oh, the vibe, the look, I grab my crotch. I know, we go to the parking lot. Like, men are able to do that. Lesbians don't do that. You understand? Even though they're both attracted to the same sex, they don't do that.
No, lesbians fall in love and
Lesbians
been
don't
together
do that.
and do like
Gay men do that. Gay men are the ones that are having these orgies. They're the ones that are very promiscuous. So we're talking about that, the nature of men and women. We're not saying women are better off without men. That's not true at all. I don't know why women are more antidepressants. I don't know if it's what I think Ben Shapiro and a lot of these people talk about, which is that they're choosing a career versus being mothers and having children, and then they're sad and they don't know why that is. They go to the doctor. The first thing they say is, you should get an antidepressant. I wouldn't doubt if that is actually the situation. Eve, yes. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Pearl say she agrees with Laura Loomer on politics? Well, Pearl is from what it looks like, a conservative and or Republican and or Trump supporter. I think that she's not very politically savvy at all. I think that she's trying to get her way into politics. And she's probably seen some of Laura Loomer's commentary and exposés, and so she agrees with her because Laura Loomer is an incredible person. In fact, I just had a stupid ass DeSantis supporter attack me because I said that Laura Loomer was my favorite Jew. Like, they're so stupid. Hi, Pablo. I haven't seen you in a very long time. Hope all is well. Respect for women and appreciation in a way that says she's unique. It's a man's job to respect women, but it's a woman's job to give something to respect. I agree. That is a very, very true statement. For sure. Yeah, women do have something we need to evoke. Is that how you say it? I don't want to say demand, but like Bella says, you don't demand respect, you earn it, right?
very much so.
It gets harder, by the way, to date after 30. Here's the thing. This is where I'm a little bit conflicted with conservatives and or conservative commentators that say that you shouldn't go to college. Like, don't go to college. Don't go to college. Some of the best relationships that I have in my life around me of marriages are from college, are from people that met in college, who lost their virginity to each other, or maybe the women did to the man, and they stay together and they're college sweethearts. And you know what the beautiful thing about college is? That everyone starts at the same level. Everyone's broke at the same time. Of course, we can talk about, such and such parents have money and da-da-da-da-da, but everyone starts at the same playing field, right? Once you get older, you start caring more about, what does he do and what I do? And I make 50,000. So he has to make 60,000 or at least 50,000. When you're in college, it doesn't matter. You're in the moment. So I don't, especially if you're in a city, like it's very different if you're in a small town. Maybe if you're like a more religious church going person, you'll be able to find your partner like that. But if you're not, I don't think college is as bad as we make it out to be. It's probably different now than when we went to college, because I didn't have any liberal shit in college. Like it's not like it is now. Definitely not like it is now. So, yeah.
You know what's another thing that I think too that is not taken into account when it gets harder to date after 30 is that, the manosphere laughs when you say things like, I'm single by choice. When you're 20, you're a lot more susceptible, if you will, to like game and Mac and bullshit and narcissists and all these other fucking things. That as you get older, your resistance and your tolerance for that becomes lower and lower and lower. So I don't necessarily, I don't want to talk shit. Clearly it does become harder but it's because you start secluding yourself. You're not around a lot of people. You don't want to go out all the time. You don't want to be out with 3,000 people. You're less willing to give up the piece of your personal space to share with somebody else that's going to disrupt that. So it does get harder to date past your 30s, but I don't think that it's as cut and dry as the red pill space means. And it's like, oh well, you got uglier past 30 and that's why it's harder to date. Like, no, do you guys know that there's a place in Florida called The Villages, and The Villages in Florida, which is actually Loomer's district.
No, I know that's Loomer's district. Fucking hilarious.
Is a community of seniors and elders, and it's an entire county in Florida that's just filled with senior citizens in the silver stage of their life. And they do little activities all the time. There's always something going on. Anyways, people dream all over the country of retiring and buying a house in the villages.
Yeah.
Completely caters to senior citizens. Can I tell you guys that the villages has had some of the most rampant outbreaks of STDs in the entire state, more so than some of the colleges. Rampant STDs because these old people can't stop fucking each other.
Wait, they have the loofahs, you know that, right? So they have golf carts and cards. So people have different little loofahs, and they put them on top of their golf carts or their cars, and then each color represents something else. So let's say like the pink is like, you know, you're a swinger, and the yellow is that you have threesomes, and then the green is like you do orgies or you swap partners. So these old people are degenerates in their later years.
They continue to date.
They're hoeing for show.
They continue to date. And why is it easier for them to date? Because they're around other old people all the time, social activities, giving up their space. They want to have fun. It's almost like a regression back into their 20s when they get into the stage. So this idea that when you get older, you can't date. No, you're still going to have options available to you. Plenty of them, to be every woman. It doesn't matter. We talk about the lady in 600-pound life as somebody to cook her 27 hot dogs and get her fried chicken and rub her feet. Like, there's somebody out there for everybody. But I do think that it does get significantly harder. But the reason for that is that you become significantly more selective.
Yeah, this is hilarious. Hold on. They're so old, they're probably spreading the Spanish flu. I'm fucking dying. That's hilarious.
I want to talk about this on Thursday's episode, but I'll mention it slightly here. Someone said, my girlfriend's in her 40s, said if she was ever to get divorced again from her current husband, she would marry one of her girlfriends just for partnership. Older women have less tolerance for bullshit. This is why I don't care what anybody tells me. I've seen it in single circumstance. I've seen a lot of them, whether it's in personal life. I have never seen a situation where a younger man gets with an older woman and the older woman is pressed about him, where she's like, I love this guy, oh my god, I see my future with him. Bullshit. Because you get older, you get more cínica. So what I was telling Linda is like, it's almost like every situation where I've seen an older woman with a younger man, they're almost embarrassed by the situation. They're not trying to flaunt it. They're not trying to build on it. They're looking at it as just like a pastime or maybe, you know, like taking things at a pace where like, can this really be serious? This guy's so much younger than me. Can it lead anywhere? So this idea that like, younger men don't like older women, while most younger men are going to date women their age, the truth can also be said about women that most younger women will also date within the vicinity of, you know, 1 to 7 years senior of their age, but not these huge age gaps of 25, 30 that the manosphere thinks are just abundant out there.
Yeah, there isn't. Are you guys anti-trad wife?
No.
It's another lie. First of all, there's no trad wife on the internet because you're already using a modern day tool. So by definition, you're not traditional. Are you using a washing machine? Are you using electricity? Do you have an iPhone? So those are things that are part of the modern day world. Let's start with that. The only traditional wives that there are actually mostly Amish and Orthodox Jewish women, and perhaps some Muslim women as well. The rest of the people are probably more conservative wives who you know, are homemakers and stay-at-home wives, but like to LARP on the internet about being traditional wives, and they just like that title. Our problem is with the women who, again, were whores, got ran through, or were some sort of like, you know, just whatever, maybe what you want to call it, and then they get a simp to marry them. And later they think that the moral authority of the internet to start shaming women and to start shaming women and to just be like, I don't know, annoying. So I've never been a whore. And the reason why I've never been a whore is because I think I'd say like because I have morals and values, but also because I've always had male attention. And I feel like a lot of women who are whores, and by that I mean like promiscuous, like sleep around, is because they need men validation and they need more male attention. Now, there's different types of whores. There's whores that are paid for sex, and then there's also women that just like to sleep around because they enjoy sex and they don't care to get paid, and or they need male validation. And so because I've never been in that position where I've never done that, I don't need to. I just been a cool, normal chick, party when I was in college, had fun, had a great job, started my own business, normal person. I don't feel the need to go around and start shaming women, younger women, for doing what I did when I was in college. I think is ridiculous. And so that's what we're seeing now from older women who are
Also,
not married and have children, and then like to go online to shame girls about what they wear, what they don't wear, if they're married, if they're not married, if the married women don't have children. So it's ridiculous. It's completely uncalled for. And I think that men are, it's a fetish, right? Like, so there's like anime. Bella and I were talking about it today. Some men have a thing for anime. I think that some men are actually they have a fetish for like, ooh, this trad wife that dresses like a 1950s, like with her this and that. And it's retarded. The whole thing is retarded. So
yeah, I think that
yeah,
not only is it retarded, I think that it's destructive to young women to make them feel like they don't have any vindication after being young women. You
right.
know, some you're gonna do dumb things when you're young sometimes, and then you'll realize later on that that's not the direction that you want to take your life or who you want to be as a person. And to claim that something that a woman does when she's 18, 19, 20, 21 years old somehow dictates her value for the rest of her life is just not accurate. And these women get off of shaming these young girls and making them feel like they'll never be worth anything to anybody, which only pushes them further into these destructive lifestyles. So no, we want to empower other women to actually lead traditional lives.
Yeah.
The way that you told them that you do that is not by shaming them and telling them that they're never going to be worthy of that. It's by telling them how much it is, that why that's a much better lifestyle, and here's why you'll be happier, or here's whatever it is. And that's how you should be selling a traditional marriage. If you're truly doing it for the cause and not for clout, right? Which is the cause is you're trying to fix and course correct society, and you're trying to lead all of society into these more traditional lives, and therefore you're trying to use your influence to teach young women that they can obtain the same happiness that you have, using yourself as a testimony, if they practice these lifestyle, if they practice these customs, practices, whatever it is. But the straight shaming women, being nasty, it's gross. Linda and I are both girls when it comes to that.
We are.
We want to
And
empower.
we live in Miami, so it's a little bit different. I don't know where you guys are from. I know there's some Miami peeps here. Shuda, you know how it is. 70% Latino population, very sexy. We're not scandalized by cleavage. We're not scandalized by leggings. It's actually pretty much what a lot of women wear here. It's like 100 degrees every single day. So you're going to see women with dresses, skirts, sandals, leggings, sports bras, and no one is scandalized here. It's part of our culture. Obviously, there's places where you're not going to wear that. You go to a nicer restaurant, you're going to wear fancier things. You go to church, you're going to be covered up. But we're not scandalized by cleavage, where some people in other parts of the United States may be. You live in a way more traditional, conservative city, and we don't have to change who we are or our culture. If you go to my home city, which is Cali, I would recommend for you guys to travel there. It's actually very cheap right now and really beautiful. It's relatively safe if you stay within the safe areas, tourist areas. You're going to see when you go out at night that women are usually with men. That culture of girls' nights and girls going out made for the younger women, but usually you're going to see girls with girls with their husbands, girls with their boyfriends, and it's a thing. It's a cultural thing that the men want to show off their hot women. And all these Colombian girls, they got their tits out, they got freaking tight jeans with their butt is clearly showing. And it's not necessarily looked down upon. It's not that they're naked or they're necessarily whores, but they are more sexual. That's just kind of the Latino culture. Picture Sofia Vergara in Modern Family as Gloria. That's like a staple of these women. And the men are okay with that. They're not crying over a cleavage.
A reel came over on, I was just cracking up. It was a reel that came on from a short of the show, and it's Gloria. They're gonna go to Disneyland, and Gloria's wearing like 6-inch stilettos, and Jay is like, you need to take those, like, you're gonna be uncomfortable, you need to take them off. And she's like, muy tanta sencilla, like, I feel more comfortable in my high heels, and I'm going to Disneyland in my high heels. And that is very representative of how Latina women like to present themselves to the world.
Yeah. Today, what's really scandalous when it's 109 degrees weather, I actually on the phone, Bella was with me on the phone when I went on a 30-minute walk to go to Walgreens to get my steps in. And I was wearing leggings and a sports bra. And it is what it is.
What about the mom that you saw at Best Buy the other day?
Oh, yeah, there's a mom that I saw at Best Buy. It was the Best Buy on the beach. And I guess they stopped really quick for whatever reason. And she was wearing a bikini and just a little cover up with her husband right next to her and her child. They spoke Spanish because I heard her talking to the guy in the front. Her husband was right next door. I guess he doesn't care. So that's why it's better to marry within your culture, so that you don't have to explain these things to men. They just know. It's kind of like what Josue was saying on the podcast. He's like, it's Miami. Like everyone here wears stuff like that, Best Buy on 5th and Alton. Yes. Oh my God. I didn't post it because I felt bad because I didn't want to come off as a hater, but I sent it to Bella. Like, I didn't want to be like, look at this woman in a bikini. Like, I didn't want to be a hater, but it was pretty hilarious because she was on the phone with me. I was actually buying this mic, and I was like, bro, you'll never imagine what I'm like watching right now. Like, it's so funny.
I want to answer this.
Which one? This one?
No, not this one. Do you think it's a normal standard if a man wants his partner to have a low body count and someone who doesn't party all the time? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
Normal standard, which is why
100%.
I will never advocate for women to be promiscuous. But here's the difference between us and somebody like on the Fresh and Fit shows. If I had a panel of only fangirls on our show, I would explain to them why it is that their life choices, why it is that if they change the way that they're living right now, they can create better lives for themselves. If they course correct, allowing them and encouraging them to take an opportunity of shifting, like, okay, you're never going to make as much money as you do in OnlyFans, but have you considered that maybe you need to be investing your money in other things so you don't have to worry about doing OnlyFans for the rest of your life? Have you considered that maybe someday you're going to want a mom, or you're going to want to be a mom? At what age do you want to be a mom? Like, what kind of husband do you want to have? Because maybe they want to have a husband that does, a Zerko, that does cocaine and parties all the time. And if that's the case, then maybe their lifestyle is compatible to them. But if they want a guy that's a good guy, so I would talk to those girls and encourage them to live more modest lifestyles and show them the advantages of, not giving your body away to random strangers or random people, unlike these shows, which simply tell them that they're trash and that there's no fixing them. The truth of the matter is that, we say it all the time, hoes win. And the reason why we know that hoes win is because we're girls that have lost to hoes.
For real. I think that some people took that, of course, per usual, the haters, like, oh, they're saying that you're, hoes win, like it's a good thing. It's like, is it a bad thing to say that there's child trafficking? Like, there's just truths in life that are not comfortable, but they're the truth. I think the question here for Joey, or my question to you would be, are you a party boy that's living that type of lifestyle of drinking, going out, being a man whore, doing drugs, and then expect to have a partner with a low body count that doesn't party all the time. I think that in that situation, you are hypocritical, and then you are going to get back the energy that you put into the world. So if you're in that environment, that's what you are going to get. So I would, in that situation, I would say it's not normal, because if you are here in Miami at Space, at 11, at Live, partying, drinking, doing this, you're going to date within that pool range. You're gonna get the party girls. You're gonna get the bottle rats. You're gonna want the girls that are gonna use you for a drink or for money. So, but if you're not, if you are an athlete, if you're working out, maybe you're in school. I think we have a senior in college, and I think it's a you should have different for sure. The standard should be to want someone who's not a party person, who's not somebody with a high body count, right?
What? That's a good Isaiah Portilla. As a senior at a Midwest school, as a senior at a Midwest college, where I played baseball. My question for y'all is: when did personal appearance become disregarded? Girls wearing PJs to class, dudes and wife beaters, etc. I wonder. I guess I maybe it's something you see in campus all the time, but I just wonder how much of it is like senioritis. You know, like once you get to like your last year, like and you're not putting as much emphasis in. Then you go
pajamas is out of control, dude.
Yeah,
I never did that ever. Senior, junior, nothing. I think that also it's how you're raised, right? Like my mother would have a problem with me leaving the house if I didn't have my makeup done. You know, my mom is a very girl, very feminine person, someone who takes pride in her looks, someone who's always stayed fit, has her hair done. She wakes up and doesn't like to, have her husband see her like all, not ugly, but you know what I mean? So I think it's also a matter of culture and how you're raised. Grandma at 82 years old still dresses up every single day to go to the market. She obviously doesn't have a job.
Trainer. And you're like, my grandmother still wears a waist trainer.
My grandma sent me a waist trainer the other day, and I wouldn't know what that's like, because the bummiest that we look is like what I'm wearing right now, which is like a t-shirt and sweatpants. That'd be probably like, or when we wear leggings and gym clothes. So I don't know. I think that actually has to do more with like how you're raised than anything else. Because I do see it's like when the girls come out with like bonnets or like their hair like not done. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? So yeah, I would definitely wait. I would definitely not find a girlfriend in college classes.
You know what I would say, Isaiah? That I think it makes it that much easier for you to be able to stand out too, right? Like the people that are taking care of themselves, the people that are investing in themselves. So unfortunately, like I do agree that personal hygiene and the way that we look is maybe not something that society is completely embracing these days. But you can set the standard, because what is that, like dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have. I think the same can be said for your overall lifestyle. Dress for the lifestyle that you want, not for the lifestyle that you have, and you'll stand out. And then you're going to get the hottest girl that's probably dressed the hottest, like within the score or whatever it is, or when you go out into the real world. I think that a lot of the people you'll actually see will grow out of that when they're forced to incorporate themselves into the real world, because the way that you dress and the way that you carry yourself once you're in a corporate professional environment is very connected to the level of success.
It is.
So if you want to be promoted, if you want to get a certain job, all of that, how you show up in your physical appearance, the way that your suit is tailored, the way that your tie is set up, people can see that. Like people are going to know if you're wearing a clip-on tie versus a tie that you like put on yourself. So
right. Yeah.
I think that these people will definitely have a harsh reality check when they have to go out into the real world and they can't show up to work in their pajamas.
So before we go, I was in the business. I went to Coral Reef Senior High School, and I was in the business and finance magnet. And once a month, we had to dress for success. That's what it was. It was called Dress for Success.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, we had to show up in school fully dressed like we were going to a job interview. And they had very strict rules. So, for example, if you didn't wear, as a woman, if your nails had to be done, and if if for some reason you couldn't actually get like a manicure, like you couldn't have bright colors or none of that, it had to be a very simple, basic manicure. Your hair had to be done. You couldn't wear open toe shoes. Also, the heel had to be like a normal professional heel, not like stilettos.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't, if you were not going to wear a pantsuit with, you had to have a blazer. Then if you wore a business like skirt suit, it would have to be like below the knee, or like knee, like right below the knee. And you had to have stockings, correct? Everything had to be
rose
and graded. Like you were literally graded like A through F. And so that was actually a really good foundation for when I went to college. And then after that, and started applying for real world jobs. So
yeah, I'd say the same thing. Somebody said, as a man, I usually get much more attention when I post gym pics here and there. Taking care of yourself helps a lot, especially for men. It shows women they won't deal with a slob. Absolutely. And the same thing for women, like when a man sees a woman that has well-groomed hair and she's done up the right way, she's healthy, like the reason why that's attractive is because it reminds the opposite sex of key signs of fertility. And when you've got highly favorable signs of fertility, you're going to attract more partners. I know we're getting ready to leave, but I did see somebody asked us, what do you hate about the red pill? And I want to answer that because the truth is that there's a lot of things about the red pill that I agree on. I believe that men need to work on improving themselves. I believe that women need to be more modest and should have lower body counts. I believe in the gender roles and traditional gender roles that men and women should absolutely fall into, particularly when they're in relationships. What I don't like about the red pill is that it takes all of that, which is great stuff, but then it says that the only solution is basically hating women, degrading women to lift men up. And that's what I have a problem with. Right. Not necessarily so much the red pill ideology as much as the red pill solution that I have that I don't like.
Right. That it's that, and the fact too that there's a lot of these content creators that are putting fear about marriage. Don't get married. Women are gonna take your money. Da da da. And look, I'm not saying they don't. I'm not saying the system. I'm not denying any of these situations. But also, do you really want to live in fear for the rest of your life, and you just want to procreate and leave all these kids all over the world? I guess just spread your seed like you were Abraham in the Bible or something. No, like you're not Abraham. So I think that there's a few things that are wrong with the red pill. The first thing is that it is a very misogynistic space, and talking about it makes you a feminist. So I just don't necessarily see how this is going to help people. In fact, having somebody like Pearl talk about repealing the 19th Amendment, someone that's never been politically involved, doesn't have nowhere near the accomplishments or things that we've done for our community and in general, it's we're not going to agree with someone like that. It's not going to happen because
no, not at a downfall to the nuclear family and to the, one of the things that I tell Linda all the time, which to me, what it feels like is that the manosphere wants to rewrite societal norms, biological societal norms of what it's like to date as men and women. And, you're not going to rewrite 1,000 years, since the beginning of time, men competed for the attention of women. We lived in caves. Men competed for attention of women because women are the prize. Women are the status symbol. The same way that you want to have a nice Rolex on your wrist, you want to have a nice woman on your arm. So we're not going to change what has been occurring since the first human, since the beginning of time, because men in 2023 are upset that it's hard to date. Yeah. It's hard to be a man. It is hard to date. Yeah. We don't take that away. We know that men have it much harder than women. We know all of these things to be true. Women are not to blame for that.
No. Do I think I got too angry at the Donovan Sharp episode? No, I don't. It's what you're supposed to do on YouTube. It's actually what gets them ratings. They should be grateful for me because they have content to post. I think Donovan Sharp is a loser. He doesn't have anything that except the platform that he built for other losers to cry and complain about women. I don't care if they call me a feminist. I don't need to explain myself why a man wanted to spend that much money on me. In fact, as I said, men have spent even more money than that. So I'm not necessarily, I don't understand why it's shocking to people, right? We live in a very expensive city. We live in America, which is a country that has the most millionaires in the world. And there are men out there who have so much money that they can take a woman shopping and never want to sleep with her. It happens all the time. We live in a country where a man has the ability to say, I'm spending $2,000 if I want to. I'm buying new Beyonce tickets. And these tickets, each one is $1,000. Believe it or not, probably more than that. Taylor Swift tickets are going up to like $6,000. So I think that a lot of it is sensationalism. And if you don't do these type of shows and have these type of moments, you're not going to get views and likes, right? I think Donovan is a very insecure person. I don't necessarily care about his lifestyle. If somebody agrees with it, there are two adults. If his wife or whatever partner, but Donovan's not going to sit there and be like, oh, she's just mad because she didn't get a ring. Like, how is that even relevant to my situation? I could have dated that person. That person could have died. Maybe that person was a degenerate. Maybe that person was a drug addict. I mean, there's so many different scenarios. Maybe we did date and we broke up. Maybe he broke up with me. Maybe I broke up with him. You don't know anything. All you got triggered by was a very expensive date, which you wanted to hold over my head. And he was so triggered by it that he had to make it a point to then be like, oh, like talking about your $1,500 date. It's not a flex, sweetheart. It's not a flex, sweetheart. Well, I mean, shit, I could flex even harder than that. That's what I told him. I said, men have spent even more than that. You know, would you be freaking out? So I wouldn't take him too seriously. He doesn't have a good body. So what is it that the manosphere preaches? For you to get in shape. I always hear Myron talking about that, and Andrew Tate. So he doesn't have a good body. Okay. He doesn't have money. Okay. He's not very charming. So what the fuck are you guys, why is he relevant? I don't understand. You understand? I don't get it. I don't understand that.
You're gonna hold somebody, like, if people are gonna look up to somebody like a Tate or a Jake Wilder or whatever, it's like, all right, well, those men are attractive, they take care of themselves physically, they have money, they have a lot of women attracted to them, like,
right,
like a regular ass dude that's so convinced. A lot of men.
Myron, from what it looks like.
Sorry, not Myron. I should have said
no. I know, but this guy that's talking about Myron would say you have an easy life since that guy spent it. Yeah, women are supposed to have an easier life.
We do,
but we have sexual power because we're beautiful. Because women are the prize. Because not for Myron, I know he has money, but he doesn't have status. Because for a man with higher status, a more beautiful woman makes him look more wealthy. If a man walks in with a supermodel, and I'm not talking about myself, so I don't want you to go, oh, you're not. I'm not talking about me. A wealthy man or a man with status walks in with a beautiful, gorgeous model, it elevates him that much more than his $100,000 Rolex. They'll look at that woman first before we're looking at his watch. And that's something that Donovan doesn't understand, something that Myron doesn't understand. Growing up around a lot of money, because my family had a lot of money. these things are not that abnormal to me. So I can't relate, because the men that I've seen spend that much money on women, they don't complain. So I don't know. I don't understand what his fucking problem is, to be honest with you. It's weird. I never heard of Kahneman until I watched your appearance. Neither did I. I didn't know who he was. Bella knew, and she was the one texting me, giving me the download on it. So I don't.
Or like, oh, she's probably texting some guy. Like, she was texting me. I'm like, this is the guy with the 45-year-old wife that says women hit the wall at 23. Like, completely contradictory. I think all of these red pill guys contradict themselves. You know, Donovan tells people that you know, women hit the wall at 23, that you shouldn't date single moms, that you shouldn't date with post-wall women. His wife is clearly an indication that he defied all of that when he fell in love. You've got somebody like Rolo who preaches that men should get vasectomies and avoid family creation in their in their 20s in order to reach success. But he's been married for 26 years and has children and lives a very fulfilling life because he's got a family, aside from his bullshit shit talking. You know, Fresh and Fit says that, you know, you shouldn't date gold diggers, and that women are all hypergamous, but yet they're on sugar baby sites, and they claim that it's just research. But there's women that they're clearly trying to exchange their status, where it's like, if you come on my show, you're only gonna come on if you're sleeping with me. If not, then what's the point? So they're using their clout to attract women. You know, Pearly says that if you're not married by over the age of 26 and you're used goods, but she's not married and a businesswoman that puts her career first. So to me, you really start analyzing all of these red pill type gurus that are at the top of the popularity food chain, and a lot of them don't live by what it is that they preach.
And the last thing I'll say about, you know, Conovan is that he got, part of the reason why he got triggered about my comment over the date is because he doesn't want me to raise the bar for other women.
Yes.
So that other women, younger women, could say, wow, really? Like, could I be somebody that, you know, dates someone that has that much money? I saw my aunt married a very wealthy man, very, very wealthy. And he was so wealthy that he was not only giving to her, but to her entire family. And she would go buy Louis Vuitton bags for her sisters, and me. That's how much money he had. And there's just people out there with that amount of money that it doesn't hurt them for their wife to go and spend $20,000 for her and her family members at a Gucci store or whatever. I'm not saying it's the norm, or I'm not saying you should do it, but it is a reality. Like, go to West Palm Beach, you know, come to Miami, go to Boca. All these places have a lot of wealth. All of America has a lot of wealth. So yeah, that's what I'll say about that. But all right, guys, it's almost 2 a.m. But come to our show on Thursday. It's going to be a male panel. Come with questions. We haven't decided on anything yet, but we will between today and tomorrow. So
yeah, we'll have our topics and everything set up. So thanks for staying late with you guys and hanging out on our little late night MPL sesh. But we will see you 24-hour stream. Let's fucking do it. We'll see you guys on Thursday, and thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll have something more formal. Come support the guys. We're thinking of keeping the chat closed to just members, which we don't have, but we want to make it so that since there's so many guys that are going to be on, we want the people that, you know, fuck with us the hardest to be able to have an opportunity to ask the questions that they want or whatnot. But we will absolutely see you guys on Thursday.
Alrighty. Tell Zerka, I don't think we're too small for him. So maybe if he sees my Instagram, she has more clout on Instagram. Maybe she's cool. All right, guys, have a good night. Bye.